Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Samantha. Thank you so much for joining me. Really excited to have you here because I have another amazing DIY for you. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a really powerful hair growth oil, which can also help hair to grow back in bold patches. Our first ingredient, we're going to use cloves. Cloves I've talked about before. They are amazing for hair growth and they can stimulate scalp circulation. They also have antibacterial properties and anti-fungal properties, and therefore they can help to keep the scalp clean, and that creates a nice, clean and healthy environment for hair to grow. They also have a chemical which can help stimulate hair growth, and therefore your hair will start to grow longer and thicker and fuller. So if you've been on a plateau, this is something that you might want to try. And lots of people can testify to just how good cloves are because they've tried them themselves. So if you've never tried cloves, then this is something that I suggest or recommend that you try. And if you've used them before, you'll know how good they are. The next ingredient, we're going to be using fenugreek seeds. They're also called methi, and this is another favorite ingredient of mine. It is a powerhouse when it comes to nutrients. It's got some protein, it's got some vitamins, it's got some minerals, particularly iron, which are essential for hair growth. So fenugreek has also been shown to be able to thicken the hair. So not just increasing the number of hair follicles on the scalp, but making the hair follicles thicker so that the hair that comes out of the hair follicles is thicker. And fenugreek can also help hair to grow back in bold patches, so it is a really effective treatment for alopecia. And it has DHT blocking properties, and therefore it's really useful for people who are suffering from male pattern balding or hair loss or hair thinning from menopause. And then the next ingredient is amla, which is another really popular herb when it comes to hair growth because it is packed with vitamins, especially vitamin C, which can help to stimulate collagen production. And collagen is a protein that helps to strengthen the hair follicles because it's one of the things that will be surrounding the follicle, so it's part of the structure of the hair follicle bed, and therefore it can help prevent hair loss. But it's also an effective treatment for alopecia because it can help hair to grow back in bold patches, so it can waken follicles which are dormant. Unfortunately, it doesn't heal follicles which are completely damaged. But if your hair follicles are just dormant because of stress or illness, or there was a slight trauma to your scalp, or any other reason why your follicles might be dormant, this can help. And then we're going to need an oil. So I'm using this vegetable oil. It is a mixture of rapeseed and sunflower, but I like this one because it's got omega-3 and vitamin E, which are really good for hair and the scalp. So you can use any other penetrating oil. Plain sunflower oil is good. Olive oil is also a good one, almond oil, and others. And then we need a heat resistant jar or container with a lid because we want to warm this up and prevent moisture from getting into the oil, otherwise it'll go bad. I'm just making a small batch here just to give you the proportions, so you can make a bigger amount if you want to. So I'm just going to add 1 tablespoon of cloves into the blending jug, and then I'm adding 1 tablespoon of fenugreek, and then I'm adding 1 tablespoon of the amla. So the reason I want to blend the seeds, the fenugreek seeds and also the cloves, is because that will help with the absorption of the oil. So the spices will then absorb the oil, and that will help with the infusion. So if you already have the powders, you can use them. The reason I prefer to use the fresh seeds and the fresh cloves is because they are more potent than ready-made powder. But as long as you have good quality powders from a reliable source, that's going to work. So not to worry too much if you can't find the seeds or the whole cloves. So now I've blended them into the powder. I'm just going to add that into the jug, and then I'm going to add my oil. So I'm only adding half a cup of oil because I want this to be really, really potent. So the less oil you have, the more concentrated your oil will be, and therefore the more potent it'll be. If you add a lot more oil, it'll just be a little bit more dilute. So now that we have mixed our powders and oil very well, I'm just going to close the jar really tightly because I don't want any steam or anything to get into the oil inside the jar. So I'm just going to put some hot water just to speed things up, put some hot water into the pot, and then I'll place the jar with our spices or herbs and oil inside and then simmer it over low to medium heat for just 15 to 20 minutes. So using heat is not absolutely necessary. So if you don't want to use heat, you just mix your powders and your oil and then you put them away in a cupboard. But it does mean you need to leave them to infuse for much longer, for at least 4 weeks. When you warm them up, what happens is that the powders will expand and absorb the oil, and then as they are cooling down, because once they've warmed up, we're going to cool them down, and as they're cooling down, they're going to release the oil, and then they will release all the goodness that is in them into the oil. So I'm just going to allow this to cool down completely, and then I'll put this into a dark cupboard. So it's not ready to use. Yes, I know some people may want to use it straight away, and you could, but it's not going to be as potent. If you want a really potent oil, you put it away, and then every now and again you shake it up just to mix it up, and then you leave it to infuse for 2 weeks. So a whole fortnight makes sure that you get a really nice potent oil. So 2 weeks later, it's now time to strain it. So you can leave it for longer if you want to. That's entirely up to you. But 2 weeks is long enough. And you can see that the powders will then settle at the bottom. And because there's still a little bit of some particles in the oil, I'm going to strain it. So I'm just using the end of a pair of ties. And I'm just going to show you how I strain the oils without having to squeeze and get my hands all covered in oil, because I don't like that at all. And I think it's actually wasteful, because then a lot of the oil just goes onto your hand. So I'm just going to put the tights in there inside the jar. So a tall jar is ideal. If you have a rubber band, you can then just secure the tights there with your rubber band, but I don't, so I'm just using string to do the exact same thing. And you can see it's nice and secure, and that is important because we're going to pour everything that's in our jar into that little well that I've created, and then we are going to let gravity do the work for us. So the oil will start to seep into the jar below, and you just leave it there for some time, and then the oil will drip into the jar and it'll be nice clean oil. And how long you leave it for really depends on how much you've made. So if you've made a tiny amount, then it won't take as long. But if you've made a bigger batch, then it will take longer. So yes, you can squeeze if you want to, but I'm just showing you how I do it now, that I don't squeeze and get my hands all covered in oil. So it's just one thing you can do, but it's not like, oh, this is a necessary step. It's not going to change your oil in any way. It's just that if you're like me, then you can do this way. And I think it just makes things neater, because I think sometimes DIYs get a bad reputation. They're like, oh, it's messy and whatnot. And it's totally unnecessary. So as you can see, there's still a lot of oil in our powders, and that's why I'm still going to drain it rather than just throw that away, because then that'll be a complete waste. So I just let it do its thing, and you can see the oil is dripping nicely into the jar, and it's nice clean oil. And I just let that sit for a while, and then once it stopped dripping into the jar, then it means it's done, it's ready. And as you can see, there's hardly any oil left. That's just a gloss because the powders had a bit of oil in it, but I'll show you. There you go. There's no oil left in there. And just to demonstrate how effective this method is, I'm going to squeeze just so you can see that you hardly get any oil left to squeeze. This method alone will be sufficient. So, my lovelies, our oil is beautiful and it smells absolutely gorgeous. I love the smell of cloves. So, I know some people don't like the smell of fenugreek, but I'm telling you, trust me, you will not really smell this fenugreek. What you smell more of are the cloves, and they smell absolutely beautiful. So this oil, it is a super oil and it is super versatile. You can use it in so many different ways. So I prefer to use it as a scalp oil. So I'll apply it to my scalp and then do a scalp massage, and I leave it in. I don't wash it out immediately. But you can do it as an overnight treatment. So you can apply it to the scalp, plus or minus your hair, and then cover with, whatever, sleep overnight and then wash your hair in the morning. Or you can use it as a hot oil treatment. You can use it as a pre-poo, or you can add it to your deep conditioners to make them richer, or you can basically use it any other way that you use a growth oil. It will be amazing. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found it interesting, useful, and I hope you do get to try it. Thank you so much to everybody who's subscribed to my channel so far. I really appreciate your love and support, and also thank you to everybody who comes and engages with the content. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, and also please give the video a thumbs up, and also sign up for notifications so that you never miss any of my videos or posts in my community tab. So until next time, my lovelies, you take care of yourselves and your loved ones. God bless. Bye for now.